On September 10, 2025, Sanaa, Yemen's capital, was rocked by a major Israeli airstrike. The IDF targeted what it called Houthi propaganda centers and military camps, unleashing explosions that echoed across the city. At least 35 people were killed, including both Houthi fighters and civilians, deepening the city's trauma. Israel claimed the strikes were a direct response to ongoing Houthi threats and attacks, calling the operation a necessary act of self-defense. The decision to strike so far from Israel's borders signals how seriously it views the Houthi threat. For Sanaa's residents, it was another day of fear and loss in a war that keeps expanding. The attack marked one of Israel's most forceful actions against the Houthis, raising the stakes in the region. The high casualty count made a Houthi response almost inevitable. International observers watched anxiously, recognizing this as a new, more direct phase in the conflict. The violence in Sanaa is not an isolated event. It's the start of another chapter in a growing regional struggle. The future for Yemenis and the wider Middle East has never felt more uncertain. The world is left to wonder how far this confrontation will go. The Houthis wasted no time in retaliating for the Sanaa airstrikes. They launched a ballistic missile at Israel, calling it an act of revenge for the deaths in their capital. The attack showcased the Houthis' growing military reach and their willingness to strike back directly. Details about the missile's impact in Israel were unclear, fueling tension and anxiety. The launch demonstrated that the Houthis now pose a credible threat to Israeli cities, changing the region's strategic landscape. Their message was clear: attacks on Yemen will be met with attacks on Israel. This tit-for-tat approach has become central to their strategy, aiming to deter further Israeli strikes. The missile launch was a calculated move to restore balance and signal strength to their supporters and allies. Each side now feels justified in its actions, ensuring the cycle of violence continues. The conflict has entered a dangerous new phase, with both sides bracing for what comes next. The region holds its breath, waiting for the next move. To grasp this conflict, we must understand the Houthis. Originating in the 1990s as a Zaydi Shia revivalist group, the Houthis evolved into a powerful political and military force in Yemen. They seized Sanaa in 2014, sparking a devastating civil war and drawing in a Saudi-led coalition. The Houthis now control much of northern Yemen and are a key part of the Iran-led axis of resistance against the US and Israel. Iranian support has enabled them to develop advanced missiles and drones, making them a regional threat. Their slogan, "Death to America, Death to Israel," reflects their ideology and their chosen enemies. Once focused on local grievances, the Houthis now see themselves as part of a broader struggle against Western and Israeli influence. Their fight has grown beyond Yemen, making them a major player in Middle Eastern geopolitics. Understanding the Houthis is essential to understanding the region's instability. The Houthis frame their attacks on Israel as acts of solidarity with Palestinians, especially those in Gaza. Since the Israel-Hamas war began in 2023, supporting Gaza has become central to their military strategy. Houthi officials vow to continue attacks until the siege on Gaza ends and humanitarian needs are met. By linking their actions to the Palestinian cause, the Houthis seek regional support and legitimacy. Iran, their main ally, publicly backs their campaign, reinforcing the regional dimension of the conflict. The Houthis' actions raise their profile, transforming them from a local Yemeni group into a significant regional force. Fighting Israel also helps them rally support at home, uniting Yemenis around a common enemy. Their attacks serve as propaganda, showing action where other Arab states remain silent. This strategy strengthens their power and legitimacy both domestically and across the region. The Houthis' war is no longer just about Yemen, it's about shaping the future of the Middle East. Their solidarity with Palestine is both a rallying cry and a tool for influence. In this conflict, words are weapons. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu declared the Houthis are paying a very heavy price for their aggression, signaling resolve to the Israeli public. Defense Minister Katz warned that every Houthi missile would be met with overwhelming force, emphasizing Israel's strategy of deterrence. These statements are designed to reassure Israelis and warn adversaries. On the other side, Houthi officials remain defiant, framing their attacks as moral support for Gaza and a duty to the oppressed. Spokesperson Mohammed Al-Farah vowed to continue attacks until the siege on Gaza is lifted, reinforcing their narrative of resistance. Both sides use strong language to justify their actions and rally supporters. Competing narratives, self-defense for Israel, resistance for the Houthis, fuel the cycle of violence. The rhetoric makes de-escalation difficult, as neither side wants to appear weak. Public declarations become part of the conflict, hardening positions and justifying further action. The war of words runs parallel to the war on the ground. Each statement raises the stakes, making peace seem ever more distant. The conflict is fought as much in speeches as in strikes. The Israel-Houthi conflict has become a relentless cycle of attack and retaliation. In August 2025, the Houthis escalated by firing a new missile with submunitions at Israel. Israel responded with a massive airstrike on Sanaa, targeting military sites and infrastructure. Dozens were killed or wounded, but instead of deterring the Houthis, it fueled more vows of revenge. Each side feels compelled to respond, fearing that restraint would be seen as weakness. The violence keeps escalating, with each round more intense than the last. The risk of a major miscalculation grows with every exchange. Advanced weapons and sensitive targets raise the stakes for both sides. The conflict is no longer a minor front, it's now central to the region's instability. The cycle of violence is self-perpetuating, with no clear off-ramp. Every action invites a stronger reaction, pushing the region closer to wider war. The world watches, hoping for restraint that never comes. The back and forth is now a defining feature of the Middle East crisis. The Israel-Houthi conflict is just one front in a wider regional struggle. The Houthis have attacked commercial ships in the Red Sea, claiming to target vessels linked to Israel, the US, or the UK. These attacks have disrupted global shipping, forcing detours and raising costs. In response, the US and UK have launched strikes on Houthi positions in Yemen, aiming to protect shipping lanes. The Houthis now face multiple adversaries: Israel, Western powers, and internal Yemeni rivals. Drone warfare has become routine, with Israel intercepting Houthi drones over its territory. Even failed attacks keep Israel on high alert and drain resources. The conflict has turned Yemen and the Red Sea into global flashpoints. All these events are interconnected, driven by the broader Iran-Israel rivalry and the war in Gaza. The region is a web of tensions, with every action rippling across borders. The risk of a wider war grows with each new strike. The latest Israel-Houthi clashes mark a dangerous new phase in the Middle East. What began as Houthi support for Gaza has become a direct, bloody confrontation with Israel. Both sides are locked in a cycle of attack and revenge, with no sign of de-escalation. The conflict now draws in global powers and highlights Iran's central role. The entire region is on edge, with the risk of a wider war higher than ever. Civilians in Yemen and Israel bear the brunt of the violence and uncertainty. Simple slogans mask a complex web of suffering and geopolitical rivalry. As of September 11, 2025, there is no clear path to peace. The world watches, hoping for a breakthrough that remains elusive. The Middle East stands at a crossroads, its future hanging in the balance.